welcome to the next stop on the Great American Coop Tour. Today we're in Lyons, Colorado with Kelly and Chris on a coop that they built because they had their old one flooded. Can you tell me what happened back there and how this started?
Well, in 2013 we had a huge flood here in the Lyons Valley. It affected hundreds of families and it affected thousands of animals. So we had a coop up back in this area that had birds in it. We weren't the owners at that time, but that coop got completely destroyed. So it filled up with water, filled up with mud about this high, killed several birds, and the rest, the folks that live here, let them out to fend for themselves and hopefully get away. So we hear they might still be running around, some of those birds, but you know, it's been several years now.
And is this higher ground, or how did you decide
This is
on this
definitely
location?
Well, this is definitely higher ground. We did try to repair that one on several occasions. It was dug out. That's when we started finding all the birds that had passed away. There was a lot of holes in the roof, and it's time to retire that building altogether. So Chris and I found this laying in the field. This is a walk-in cooler from a donut house.
That is, I was wondering.
It's a bagel, I believe, actually.
So it used to be a bagel
Yeah.
or donut freezer, and then so you just found that out here on your property?
Yeah, there's two of them laying in the field stacked up. So the folks that worked here on this property before us they did HVAC. So they had collected these coolers from somebody that didn't want them, in the idea that they would repurpose them for something. And they were left on the property when we bought it. So we thought, what better use than an insulated
Who had
chicken
the idea?
coop?
Who was the first one that said?
Maybe me.
Okay, so some of this stuff, this wasn't part of the original refrigerator, was it? I mean, these are some things that you repurposed.
Yes, so most of what you see here, except for the really cool automatic door, are things that we found on this property or we brought from our previous home in Texas. So we collected a lot of material down there, the siding, the metal, the roof for the metal for the roof. But for the most part, the rest was found here, including the decking, the boards around the bottom, the fencing, the dog kennel that's out here that ended up being part of it, the chicken wire, the siding is...
The pier blocks are the cement that was poured when we poured the foundation of the little house. No, the buckets. The buckets that are full of cement, and then the wood that's on the corners, that's part of the house that we took down here when we were building that. So just using what was around.
So how much of this is stuff that you bought versus stuff you had here that you repurposed?
5 pieces of OSB. No, we didn't buy that. We found that.
Yeah,
That was
there's
here.
not much. I mean,
The door, those two, those were here.
the great thing is when they bought this property, there was a lot of trash on it, which means a lot of treasure.
Yeah.
So, using those things and finding ways to put them together. Like when Kelly says, oh, we just found these and we put them together, we found a pile of insulated pieces of metal that we didn't know how they went together. They all cammed together, but all of those cam locks were rusted and hard to go together. There was no like, hey, put this piece next to this piece. So it took us a solid day of just laying the pieces out, trying to figure out that Tetrising of how it goes together.
And these are Predator, right? Those are, this too? Is this?
Yep, so these are the red lights. So at night, those will flash red at different heights for different height predators. These two lights here, those will actually turn on when you walk up to the coop at night in case you need to check on them. And that's also for a bear or something if it comes up. That light does not work yet, but by Christmas it will.
But did you put this in, or was it part of the original?
That's part of the original.
Okay.
So that's the light switch to turn the lights on the inside. So as we finish up our electrical project here at our pole, we're going to be bringing electricity over. It'll go into the switch and into a light on the inside.
And trail cam right here is for what purpose?
Well, we're trying to keep an eye out for fox. We've had a terrible time with predators since February.
Yeah.
We've lost about 30 chickens to the fox, and we think maybe dogs that are walking by, but we're trying to figure out which direction they're coming from so that we can make a better plan as to scaring them away.
Makes sense. All right, is it just popping it and
Yep, you got it.
going in? No leftover bagels or donuts in there?
Hopefully not. Our first roost was actually an old ladder that we found on site, and that just sat here, but the birds loved it. But we ended up with too many birds and they just couldn't all get onto the ladder. So we built this one out of all material we found on the property as well, even this metal. The entire floor is sheeted in metal that we found here. So this nesting house was here on the property as well. So
Seriously?
that was
They were begging you to build a
They
chicken
left
coop out of
everything.
it.
It's like, here's the pieces. It's just putting it
that
together.
was here as well. Both were filled with mud because they were in the old chicken coop. We've added, windows, obviously, a mirror for them to look at themselves
Entertain
and
them,
play.
yeah. So this, when you said you had to lay this out to see how it was configured. When you laid it out, is this the size it was?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it odd that this fits perfectly in here?
We thought
Perfect.
so.
Well, I mean, we put the window in. So that used to be just a wall.
So it would've just-
these windows
okay.
were left here. And
That-
so literally
you
it's
know,
like
I probably should have known there was no window in the
in
freezer.
a walk-in cooler, But it's for cross ventilation. And before we got the automatic door, which is really handy with everything else going on, we actually, this window was there in and out. And then as we progressed and did different things, like, wow, if we can get an automatic door and take that one chore off of everybody's list, that goes a long way. And the girls do great with it.
Is it solar?
It's solar.
Door?
Yep.
And that's hardware cloth on the outside of both of those?
Yep.
Okay.
Just like underneath the coop, when you look at that space, we wanted a shaded space under the coop. It gets so hot and there's not a whole lot of shade out here. Chickens can go under the coop. So now we've increased the square footage just by putting it up. And we've enclosed that with fencing. Same with the windows. We want to make it predator proof. So that's hardware cloth that's tacked in and then screwed down.
So I imagine they dust bathe a lot down there too with the cool.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep.
So you've got this strapped on here. Is it because they would knock it over, or was it?
No, it's to hold the lid open.
Oh, right. And you just added in extra.
So this
bars and
is,
stuff?
this is actually the baby brooder in here. So we have a gate that goes in here and a gate that hangs.
Oh,
And so-
from the
yeah.
basement, and they come and they're in here, so they
got
can interact, get to know each other
Exactly.
before any kind of.
Yep. So incubator, little brooder, bigger brooder, outside brooder, integration, and that process, the last 2 times we've done this, the integration has worked really well, and especially this last time, which I didn't get to see.
It was pretty amazing. We literally let them out, and that night there wasn't like a separation and they were hiding or getting pushed anywhere. I mean, the rooster was pushing them in early. They were literally, the first night, half of them were up with the big birds, half were down here, and by the second night they were all up here.
It's got to make you feel.
Next to each other.
Good.
So I hadn't seen it that smooth.
And the one before that we did was fairly smooth, but we would end up with babies outside, but we didn't bring them out as early as this batch. So we let them get their full feathers and get kind of big because we figured that they needed to have some meat to them to be able to survive with the bigger birds. I think that was probably a mistake, and bringing them out as soon as they can survive the temperatures is really the right answer.
And everybody's got a different answer and solution for bedding and stuff on the floor. You guys went with straw. How come?
It's what was at the feed store.
It's quick, it's easy. We also dust it with, when we put it in, with diatomaceous earth, pretty heavy, which helps cut down on any bugs that come in, helps keep it cleaner, that type of stuff. And it's worked really well.
There is a nice cross breeze through here. I can feel
Yeah,
it.
it works
Feel
well.
it
We
going
also
through.
have these 2 vents up here,
Yeah.
and so that's nice to draw off the heat on the
Did
top.
you put those in, or were those in
Yeah,
with the
we
freezer?
put those in.
How are we doing today as far as production? Is there a box that they lay in more than? Oh,
There's 2 or 3 boxes they like better than others.
yeah. So you got 3 down here and 1 here.
And I don't know if anybody's been out to gather for
I think a
lunch or
couple were
not,
grabbed
or
this morning.
breakfast.
Yeah.
So
What's
the,
with this? The
the milk crates?
underneath?
So that's how we catch mice. So we constantly have to be on the top of mice. So we'll leave traps in there just about all the time.
Oh.
And by keeping the milk crate on top, that keeps the birds from going
I've
in and
never
getting
seen
trapped.
that before.
Yeah, so we do the same thing outside. We have a couple of spots where we cover, put traps out. And as long as we keep those traps going, we have a lot of food outside because we give the birds scraps from the kitchen constantly. So that attracts the mice as well. We also have an owl out there and cats silhouettes around the
Saw that.
run
I looked
in
at
hopes
that,
that
one
would
3 times
scare
yesterday and thought,
scare the rodents away.
snacks, treats. What is that?
Yes, this is the scratch.
Yeah.
So we give them some scratch out in the run every day. We keep it in here in a sealed bucket so it keeps mice and whatnot away.
Because the bears do come by and take a look at things, knock over the scratch buckets. We've had them push over this fence, come up to come up to the actual fence here, and then off to the bees when they can't get into this. So
how does the solar one work? It closes it this way, not down and up?
correct. So we
Yeah.
can go take a look at that.
Yeah, let me
Is
see
that
the
all right?
run. I like the bed frame in there. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a decoration from our last house. We had it hanging on a building.
Oh, so it's the whole door.
Yep.
So the mechanics, the solar's up there. It drives this motor that just closes that. Okay. I couldn't figure it out because most of the ones I've seen are drop down. So
Correct.
it'll raise it and drop it.
And you can set it for like sunrise, half hour before sunrise, half hour after sunrise, that type of thing. And same with sunset. So we just find what works for the birds, and they get used to it, and they know when it's going to close, and they put themselves to bed, and it's pretty nice.
And what are the greens that you put in here? Just some leftovers from or some scraps from the
We
kitchen?
redid the garden last week, just pulling out big stuff, so the weeds go in here. And then also as things bolt, so as it gets warmer in the summer and the lettuce is bolting, kale's bolting, chard's bolting, as the temperature changes, that all just gets pulled, comes in here for chicken feed, and they just run through the greens.
Yeah.
So,
And cool run. I like the fact you've got shaded areas for them. There's plenty of places for them to hide out here. Do they have one run that they prefer over the other?
Not really. That's
They will when you get that trampoline.
yeah, yeah. Indeed.
Kelly, Chris, thanks for the tour. Thanks for joining us for another stop on the Great American Coop Tour. You can see our other visits at coopdreams.tv. Go to video on demand and check out the Great American Coop Tour.